Hi, my name is Linda Finetti, and I'm doing a presentation on should Hawaii provide homeless camps to care for the indigent. I'd like to thank everyone for coming today and listening to my presentation. So according to the University of Hawaii Center on Family, there are 14,000 people in Hawaii that were homeless as of 2011. I'm sure you've seen some homeless people here in Hilo. They live on the streets. You see them walking with their carts. You see them sleeping in the parks. And there are a few available shelters that they're able to go to. Just recently, on my last trip to Oahu, I was amazed to see some of the homeless people there that were sleeping right on the sidewalks, right in front of Ala Moana Center, right in front of Starbucks. So the whole corner was just involved with people. And I also heard recently that we are being asked not to feed the homeless people. It just kind of reminds me, it's like a similar thing when you walk into the zoo and you see the signs that says do not feed the animals. You know, it's like, why shouldn't we feed the homeless people? Have you ever fed any of the homeless people?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, how did it make you feel when you gave food to these homeless people? Did it make you feel better?
Yeah, usually do. I mean, these are human beings. They need help. You know, the ones that are truly in need and they're not out there pandering, I feel sorry for them. You know, they can't help themselves.
Yeah, you give them stuff and they have tears in their eyes.
Yeah.
That's true.
God bless you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we give what we have to those that are in need. And some of these people, like you say, I mean, they can't help themselves. Some of them are returned veterans. They're just not able to cope with life. There are those that are mentally ill, and they're not receiving the care that they need. But the majority of people are just everyday people that are just not able to cope with the things that are going on in their lives. And,
Yeah.
and the economy being as bad as it is now has a lot to do with it. Have you heard of what's Maslow's hierarchy of needs before?
Heard of it, but don't understand too much of it.
Okay, well, I'll explain a little bit about that. What Maslow's hierarchy of needs is the idea that before an individual can concentrate or focus on their higher needs, the basic needs need to be met first. So we have 4 different categories that deal with your basic needs. First one is physiological, and that deals with the air, water, food, and shelter. Next one is your safety, deals with security, property, employment, and finances. Next one is emotional, that deals with your family, friendship, and intimacy. And the next one is esteem, and that's with your self-esteem, with confidence, and with achievement. Now in 2011, Governor Neil Abercrombie came up with an objective to do a 90-day homeless program. And the results of that were, first, that more than 200 people from Waikiki and the urban core were moved to emergency shelters or to permanent or traditional housing. On Kauai, there were 44 people that were moved into permanent housing from the streets or the shelters. On the Big Island, there was 136 people who were moved into transitional or permanent housing. It's a lot larger than the other islands. And Next Step Shelter on Kaka'ako, they expanded their hours to be open on the weekends for individuals and families. And then there was a safe parking zone that was implemented by Hope Services in Hilo, and that's called Kiheapua. So the results of those studies in 2011 helped create a strategic plan called the Creation of Hawaii Interagency Council on Homelessness. And there were 4 goals that were achieved with this particular program. Retooling the homeless crisis response system, increasing access to stable and affordable housing, increasing economic stability and self-sufficiency, and improving health and stability. And these goals were consistent with the approach taken by the United States Interagency Council on Homelessness, and that was created by President Barack Obama back in 2010 to try and help homelessness throughout the nation. So my feeling is that everyone should have shelter over their heads. And don't you feel the same way too?
Well, it's one of the basic, needs in life, food, shelter, and water, and some kind of social interaction. The shelter part, that's important. That takes care of a lot of your rejuvenation, when you can relax safely out of the elements, yeah.
Exactly. So, what is the solution for this then? I mean, the state of Hawaii has come up with several different types of shelters, and one of them is called Kihea Pua, and it's the only agency shelter for emergency shelter for the homeless. I have a short presentation here that you can watch. It just needs to let go on.
Research continues on higher ground. UH extends its higher education to reach other parts of the Big Island community, especially to those in need.
Service learning projects are a big part of undergraduate development.
The UH Center on the Boundary estimates at least 14,000 people were homeless in Hawaii last year. Many continue to receive shelter and outreach services across the state. And in this Big Island community, UH students are doing what they can to lend a hand. In Hilo, Hawaii, the homeless are living on the streets, in the parks, and only a few are in shelters. From helping the old to the young, students have the opportunity to lend a helping hand through the distance education program.
I think over 90% of our students are actually working, and some of our students in their job placements are currently working on projects related to homelessness and reaching out to homeless populations.
In their efforts to reach out to the community through street ministry, they also focus their time in helping families get back on their feet at the Kihei Pua shelter.
Transitional shelters such as these open doors to hope and a promise to better opportunities in the future.
Kihei Pua is the only emergency shelter for families and individuals experiencing homelessness in Hawaii County. They assist families in helping them find a home.
We were part of a domestic violence situation, so it's not like I was homeless because I didn't pay my bills. It was a traumatic situation for us. They saw that, and they gave me time to breathe as well as decide what I wanted to do. So yeah, absolutely. We probably wouldn't be standing if it wasn't for them.
Cases of domestic violence, the increasing unemployment rate, and disabilities are just some of the reasons these people stay at the shelter.
They helped me a lot. Closely to the edge, they get me a place in my house.
We spoke to Mililani in February, and now she's living on her own. Success stories and happiness are the main goals for the program.
The most rewarding part of my job, for sure, is just seeing them get into housing and making me feel that everybody should be given housing. It shouldn't be something that only the rich or the ones that can afford should have. Like everybody at where they're at should be given some kind of housing.
I think the neighbor islands and working in those settings is a great experience for our students, and that they're really gonna, grow as amazing social workers and make a significant contribution to their communities.
If you'd like to get involved with service learning and civic engagement, check out the School of Social Work website. I'm Courtney Viernes for Kuhui Ho'olauna.
Such a great opportunity for students to be a part.
And mahalo to Hope Services Hawaii for making an impact on the Big Island. While research continues on higher ground, UH extends its higher...
Okay. Well, actually, there's another program as well that it's a preschool program that I also have a short vignette for us to be able to watch. And this program is called Ka Pa'alana, and it's the first and only homeless preschool program in the nation. And their goal is to prepare homeless Native Hawaiian families for success by breaking the culture of poverty, empowering the family through a quality, culturally relevant education curriculum. And I thought this was like so cool that they have a program like this for preschoolers.
When you're homeless and on the beach, or perhaps just getting into a shelter, the last thing on your mind is preschool for your kids. Partners in Development has brought learning to those without homes at Ka Pa'alana, the first preschool that serves the homeless, to earn accreditation from the National Association for the Education of Young Children. They were celebrating in Kapolei today. These yurts are part of a puzzle in ending homelessness and getting Keiki and their families ready to learn. The Ka Pa'alana Homeless Family Education Program is the only homeless preschool program in the nation. They operate at several shelters, public housing projects, and on 2 beaches. They've earned national accreditation for a program that does more than grow learners, it grows families.
It's so important to get the young learner ready for school, but I think we also prepare the families and the parents for that transition to school as well. So we do a lot of parent and adult education that prepares the family for school success, not just the child.
It was awesome.
It's like, how can I explain it? You just felt welcome. Like, I honestly couldn't wait to wake up to go to preschool.
Once homeless and on the beach, Cheryl entered the program with her child. She enjoyed it enough that she now works for Ka Pa'alana and is now in college getting her teaching degree.
I just made 5 years for Ka Pa'alana. Started as a teacher's assistant, and for the past 2 years I became teacher. So yeah, I love it.
Cheryl is excited with the accreditation and hopes they can reach even more families. It's a feeling of ha'aheo, or pride, throughout the program.
Smile, happy.
Just a lot of ha'aheo now with our families, because what others of wealth may have, they have to. There are not many NAYC accredited preschools in our state, and our families are definitely proud that they have one of them right here.
Now, only about 8% of the preschools and early childhood programs in this country are accredited by the NAEYC.
That's cool.
Cool, yeah?
Yeah.
I know, I was like really excited when I found that too.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they had that.
Yeah.
Wonder who funds that program.
Must be grants. Yeah.
I think that there's quite a few, when I looked at it, that there was several different organizations that were funding it. I didn't write those down, but you could probably, I could give you information and you could look at it afterwards. Let's see. But homelessness is growing more and more every day. Like you said, and we see people all the time. And from the time that I moved here to the Big Island to now, I've noticed a lot more in Hilo Town.
Yeah.
It's a lot less costly to house these people rather than to put them into jail. And so the shelters that are springing up, you know, here in Hawaii, I think are great for the public that needs them, regardless of their situation. And who are we to judge the circumstances of these people and what they're going through? Because it's hard times for everybody right now. And like I had said earlier, a lot of them are veterans. There are those that are mentally ill, and just everyday people. Could be your aunties and your uncles.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure that we all know somebody that's, you know, struggling right now. Yeah. And then the programs that I talked about here, the Kiheapua and the Ka Pa'alana, are programs that have been put into place to help these people. So, you know, take a look around and look at what resources that you have, and can you give a small amount of what you have to be able to help somebody else? You know, I think that you've all said that that's something that you do anyhow, but I think one of the best feelings that you can have in your heart is when you're able to help somebody else that's less fortunate than who you are. And so putting up these shelters and help each of us on an individual basis, helping those that are in need, is going to make the homelessness hopefully get better as time goes on. And I want to thank you for coming today and listening to my program. Aloha.